I pretended not to recognize my parents when they tried to reconnect. I was 23 when they showed up at my apartment. My roommate Chase answered the door while I was in the kitchen making dinner and called out to me. "Some older people are here asking for you." I walked to the door expecting maybe landlords or something. But there they were, my mom looking exactly the same except for gray streaks in her hair, and my dad who had grown a beard but still had those same judgmental eyes. They smiled at me like nothing had happened. Like they hadn't told me I was worthless when I was 15, like they hadn't kicked me out for getting a C in math, like they hadn't changed the locks while I was at school one day and left my stuff in garbage bags on the porch. "Hi, sweetheart," my mom said in that fake sweet voice she used when other people were around. "We've been looking for you everywhere. We missed you so much." My dad nodded and stepped forward like he was going to hug me. "We made some mistakes, but we want to make things right." I looked at them for a long moment. Then I shrugged and said, "Sorry, I think you have the wrong person. I don't know who you're looking for, but it's not me." Their faces dropped so fast it was almost funny. My mom's mouth opened like a fish. "What do you mean you don't know us?" "I'm your mother." I tilted my head like I was trying to place them. "Nope, sorry. Never seen you before in my life." "Maybe you got the wrong apartment number." Chase was standing behind me trying not to laugh because I'd told him all about them before. My dad got that angry red face he used to get when I wouldn't do exactly what he wanted. "Stop playing games. We know you're our son. We raised you for 15 years. Oh, wow. 15 whole years," I said, still acting confused. "That's crazy because I've been an orphan my whole life. Been on my own since I was a teenager, actually." Really weird coincidence, though. My mom started crying those crocodile tears she was so good at. "Please don't do this to us. We know we hurt you, but we want to fix things. We've changed. We go to therapy now." I shook my head sympathetically. "Ma'am, I'm really sorry you lost your son, but like I said, I don't have parents. Never have. Maybe try the police if someone's missing." They turned to leave, but my dad spun back around one more time. "Your name is Ryan James Morrison. You were born October 3rd. You had a birthmark on your shoulder shaped like a butterfly. You broke your arm when you were 8 falling off your bike." I laughed and said, "Wow, that's super specific, but nope, not me. My name's Jake." And I gestured to my very visible tattoo that covered up that birthmark years ago. Plus, I've never owned a bike. "Sorry, you're looking for the wrong guy." They stood there for another minute just staring at me. My mom whispered, "Please." And my dad looked like he wanted to punch something. But I just smiled politely and said, "Well, good luck finding whoever you're looking for. Hope it works out." Then I closed the door and locked it. I heard them talking outside for a few minutes before they finally left. Chase high-fived me and said, "Dude, that was brutal, but also kind of amazing." The crazy part is they came back 3 more times over the next month. Each time I acted like I'd never seen them before. The second time, I told them I was calling the police if they kept harassing me. The third time, I answered the door speaking only Spanish, which I'd learned in college, specifically because my parents always said learning other languages was a waste of time. The fourth time, my mom came alone. She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in weeks. She begged me to just talk to her for 5 minutes. Said she knew I was angry, but that family was everything. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Lady, I told you before I don't have family. I don't know what your deal is, but you need to stop coming here." She finally stopped coming after. Pretended not to recognize my parents when they tried to reconnect. Was 23 when they showed up at my apartment door. The same people who once told me I wasn't worth the air I breathed. It was a quiet Thursday evening. I was chopping onions for dinner, half listening to some indie playlist, when my roommate Chase called out, "Hey, some older people are here asking for you." I wiped my hands on a towel and walked over, expecting maybe the landlord or delivery confusion. But then I saw them. And for a moment, my whole body froze. My mother looked the same, only older. A few silver strands in her hair, a forced smile plastered on her face like time hadn't touched her guilt. My father stood beside her, still stiff and self-righteous, with the same hard eyes that once told me I was a failure. "Hi, sweetheart," my mom said softly, that same syrupy tone she used when she was lying. "We've been looking for you everywhere. We missed you so much." I almost laughed. Missed me? The same people who changed the locks on me when I was 15 because I brought home a C in math? The same parents who packed my clothes in garbage bags and left them on the porch like trash. My dad stepped forward, voice low and serious. We made mistakes. We want to make things right. Something inside me went cold. All the years of sleeping on couches, scraping by through high school and college, working 2 jobs just to survive, they wanted to make that right now? With a smile? So I smiled back. Sorry, I said calmly. I think you have the wrong person. Their faces dropped, confusion washing over them. My mother blinked. What? Honey, it's us. It's Mom and Dad. I tilted my head, pretending to think. Nope. Sorry, don't think I've ever seen you before in my life. Maybe you've got the wrong apartment. Chase was behind me, barely containing a laugh. He knew exactly who they were. I'd told him the whole story months ago. My dad's face turned red, that familiar fury bubbling up. Stop playing games. We know who you are. We raised you for 15 years. I raised an eyebrow. Wow, 15 years. That's wild. Because I've been on my own since I was a teenager. Never knew my parents. Guess it's just one of those strange coincidences. My mom started crying, her trademark move whenever manipulation didn't work. Please don't do this. We know we hurt you, but we've changed. We go to therapy now. We just want a chance to talk. I leaned against the door frame and looked at her the way you'd look at a stranger trying to sell you something. Ma'am, I'm sorry you lost your son, but I've never had parents. Maybe try the police. They both stood there, silent, eyes searching my face for the child they once knew, the boy they'd abandoned when he wasn't perfect enough. Then my dad snapped. Your name is Ryan James Morrison. You were born October 3rd. You have a butterfly-shaped birthmark on your shoulder. You broke your arm when you were 8 falling off your bike. I smirked and turned slightly so they could see the tattoo covering that exact spot. Sorry, I said. I think you got the wrong guy. My name's Jake, and I've never owned a bike. For a long moment, they just stared. My mother's face crumpled, her voice breaking. Please? I smiled politely. Good luck finding whoever you're looking for. Hope it works out. Then I closed the door. The silence that followed was almost peaceful. I heard them murmuring outside for a while. My mother's muffled sobs. My father's angry tone before they finally left. Chase walked up behind me and high-fived me. Dude, he said, that was brutal. But honestly, kind of legendary, but it didn't end there. They came back. 3 more times. The second time, I told them if they didn't leave, I'd call the police. The third time, I opened the door and spoke only in Spanish, the same language they mocked me for learning, saying it was useless. Watching my father's face twist in confusion was almost poetic. The fourth time, my mom came alone. She looked different, smaller somehow. Her makeup was smudged, her eyes hollow, her hands shaking as she held a photo of me, or, I guess, of the boy I used to be. Please, she whispered. Just talk to me. 5 minutes. I know you're angry, but family is everything. I met her eyes, those same eyes that once looked away when my father screamed at me, when I begged them not to leave me outside that night. Lady, I said softly, I told you, I don't have family. And then, for the last time, I closed the door. She never came back after that. Sometimes, late at night, I wonder if she still thinks about me, about the boy they threw away. But then I remember that 15-year-old kid shivering outside his own house, clutching trash bags full of clothes. And I remind myself I didn't lose my parents. They lost me. Story. My cheating wife refused intimacy for months, then suddenly wanted a baby, but I already suspected she was pregnant and quietly planned. The revenge she never saw coming. Chapter 1, The Cold Bedroom. I used to think that silence in a marriage was just a phase, that maybe people drift apart for a while and then find their way back. But this silence wasn't temporary. It was sharp, cold, deliberate. For months, my wife Maya avoided even the slightest physical touch. No kisses, no affection, no intimacy. At first, I tried to be understanding. Work stress, hormones, exhaustion, all the typical excuses. I cooked for her, brought flowers, planned date nights, but the distance only grew. One night after I brought home her favorite tiramisu and lit candles, she pushed my hand away as I reached out to touch her. She muttered, "I'm not in the mood again." Then she rolled over and stared at her phone for hours while I lay next to her, feeling like a stranger in my own home. But what chilled me more than her coldness was the timing. Because 3 months ago, just before all this began, she had returned from a girls' retreat in Atlanta. It was a spontaneous trip arranged last minute by her friend Denise, and she seemed different when she came back, more guarded, more protective of her phone. And suddenly, our bedroom turned into a wall of ice. I had suspicions, every man does when things start to crumble, but nothing prepared me for what came next. One night, she sat across the table from me after dinner, her fingers nervously circling the rim of her glass. "I've been thinking," she began. I raised an eyebrow. "About what?" "I want to have a baby," she said, forcing a smile. "I think it's time." I nearly choked on my water. A baby now. After months of no intimacy, no warmth, and barely a real conversation, something wasn't adding up. And worse, I had already noticed subtle changes. She had stopped drinking wine. She had an odd glow. And a few weeks earlier, I saw her throw up quietly in the bathroom, but denied anything was wrong when I asked. She wanted a baby. But I already had a gut-wrenching suspicion that she was pregnant, and it wasn't mine. I stared at her across the table, masking every emotion that screamed inside me. I smiled gently and replied, "You're right. Maybe it is time." But in that moment, I made a quiet vow to myself. I would find out everything, and when the truth came out, she wouldn't see my revenge coming. Chapter 2. The silent investigation begins. From the moment Maya said she wanted a baby, I knew she was trying to play me, either to pin the pregnancy on me or to distract me from discovering the truth. But I wasn't about to confront her with accusations and end up gaslit or painted as paranoid number. If she was hiding something, I needed proof. Cold, undeniable proof. And I was going to get it quietly. First, I began with her phone habits. She had recently started taking her phone everywhere, even into the bathroom. It never left her side. The password had changed. Notifications were silenced. It screamed secret, and that only fueled my determination. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I bought a tiny magnetic GPS tracker and placed it beneath her car's back bumper when she was out grocery shopping. It synced with my phone and let me see everywhere she went. The next day, Maya claimed she was working late due to backlogged accounting tasks at the firm. But according to the tracker, her car never went near the office. Instead, it was parked outside a suburban townhouse for over 3 hours. I cross-checked the address. It belonged to Martin Cooper, a junior sales manager who coincidentally had also attended the Atlanta girls' trip. He was single, tall, gym rat, and not once mentioned by Maya. That was clue number 1. Next, I ordered a discreet at-home paternity test kit online just in case. I hadn't touched her in months, and if she was pregnant, the timeline would immediately expose everything. But the real confirmation came when I carefully installed a keystroke logger on our shared laptop. Maya barely used it anymore, but when she did, I saw enough. One night while I pretended to be asleep, she typed out a message. "Don't worry, he has no clue. I'll tell him the baby is his. Once he believes it, we'll be fine. He's soft. He'll never fight back." She never sent the message, but she didn't have to. The damage was done. My suspicions were now facts. Maya was pregnant. The baby wasn't mine, and worst of all, she thought I was weak. I sat alone in the dark that night, the silence more deafening than ever. But I didn't feel sadness anymore. I felt focus. I began planning my revenge with the same precision I'd used as a former systems analyst. Quiet, systematic, untraceable, and it started by playing the part of the clueless husband, right until the trap was ready to snap. Chapter 3. I have a surprise, honey. A week later, Maya was practically glowing. Not in the sweet, innocent way you'd expect from a woman with joyful news. No, her glow was laced with smugness, the kind that came from thinking she was in full control of everything. I came home to the smell of pasta and garlic bread. Candles were lit. Soft jazz played in the background. Maya stood in the kitchen, smiling like the world was perfect. Something was up. "Dinner?" I asked, pretending to be confused. "Just felt like spoiling you," she replied. "Sit. I have something to share." I sat across from her, forcing a tired smile and keeping my tone light. "What's the occasion?" She poured me a glass of wine, herself a glass of juice, another small clue. Then she dropped the bomb. "I'm pregnant," she said softly, placing a hand over her stomach. "I wanted to surprise you. I know things have been distant between us lately, but I want to fix that. I want us to have a family." She looked so convincing, like she truly believed her lies, like she had rewritten the story in her head so many times that even she couldn't separate fact from fiction. I almost laughed, but instead I stood up, walked around the table, and knelt beside her. I placed my hand over hers, pretending to be overwhelmed with emotion. "That's incredible news," I whispered. And in that moment, she beamed, absolutely certain she had me wrapped around her finger again. I kissed her forehead and said all the right things. "We'll be great parents. This is what we needed. Thank you for not giving up on us." But inside, I was calm, cold, calculating. What Maya didn't know was that I had already sent in the DNA sample from her prenatal vitamin bottle collected, carefully and discreetly from the trash can a few days earlier. What she didn't know was that I'd already contacted Martin Cooper under an alias pretending to be a potential client. We'd scheduled a meeting. What she didn't know was that I had no intention of being part of this baby's life, and every intention of blowing her fake world apart. Her little performance at the dinner table was just another piece of the puzzle, and the more she performed, the more she gave me. By the end of the night, she was curled up beside me, dreaming her twisted dream. I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling and smiling because the trap was almost ready. Chapter 4. The DNA envelope and the dinner invitation. It arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. A plain white envelope, no markings aside from the discreet lab logo in the corner. I locked myself in the home office, my hands steady as I slid it open and pulled out the single sheet of paper that would change everything. I didn't need to read all of it. The bolded line in the middle was enough. Probability of paternity 0.0%. Maya's unborn child wasn't mine. I exhaled slowly like a weight had been lifted. Not because I was heartbroken, I already knew the truth. But now I had proof. Ironclad, irrefutable, courtroom admissible proof. Still, I didn't confront her. That would be too easy. Instead, I texted her. "Let's have dinner at my parents' place Saturday night. Just us and them. I want to share our good news with the family," she replied almost instantly. "Oh yes, that means so much to me. Should I wear something special?" I told her to wear white. She thought it was symbolic, pure, hopeful, a new beginning. In truth, I wanted her to wear white because the contrast would make her betrayal bleed brighter in front of everyone when the truth came out. Saturday evening arrived. My parents had no idea what was coming, but I had warned them to brace themselves. Maya floated into the house like a queen, glowing, smiling, kissing everyone on the cheek. My mom hugged her tightly. My dad even raised a toast. "I'm just glad you two are working things out," he said. "This child will bring healing." I gave Maya one last out, one last moment to come clean. As the family dug into dinner, I said gently, "Sweetheart, would you like to tell them the news?" She grinned and stood up. "We're expecting," she announced. "I'm about 9 weeks now, and we're both so excited." Cheers, applause, even a tear from my mother. Then I stood up and raised my own glass. "I have an announcement, too," I said, voice even. Just a small follow-up to Maya's beautiful reveal. I pulled out a second envelope and set it gently on the table. "This is a DNA test from a certified lab. I had it done last week. Because I had doubts." Maya froze. My dad lowered his fork. My mom's eyes darted back and forth, confused. I unfolded the paper and read aloud. Probability of paternity 0%. Silence. Then I added, "And that's not all. Maya, I met Martin Cooper last Thursday. He thought I was a client, but we had a good little chat. He's the real father, isn't he?" Her face went ghostly pale. "What number?" "That's not." I threw my phone onto the table. A video played. Security footage I'd obtained from a hotel lobby. Maya, Martin, arms around each other, entering a room. 1 week before she told me she was pregnant. She dropped her fork. My mom gasped. My father stood up, lips pressed into a thin, angry line. Maya reached out. "Please, I can explain." I stepped back. "Don't. This isn't a conversation, it's a declaration. I'm filing for divorce on Monday. The house, mine, the savings account frozen. The prenup you insisted we tear up 2 years ago. Bad decision, but the baby, I cut her off, not mine." And with that, I walked out of the room, leaving her standing there in white, surrounded by the shards of her lies. Chapter 5. Ruins and Revelations. The fallout from that dinner was immediate and brutal. Maya tried calling me 12 times that night alone. Each call went to voicemail. She sent voice notes full of sobs, apologies, promises to explain, but I'd heard enough. I blocked her number before sunrise. By Monday morning, the divorce papers were filed. The attorney already briefed had all the documentation, the DNA test, the hotel footage, and financial records, proving Maya had used our joint funds for prenatal care appointments with Martin. I froze all accounts we shared and revoked her access to everything: banking, insurance, the deed, utilities. She didn't even have electricity in the guest apartment by the week's end. She stormed into my workplace once, demanding to talk. Security showed her out before she made it past the reception, but not before she screamed, "You'll regret this." I made one mistake. I didn't respond. I just turned back to my computer and pressed send on a small final detail, an anonymous tip to Martin's company's ethics board. Turns out Martin had signed a strict no fraternization clause as a senior manager. Getting caught in an affair, especially one involving a client's spouse, violated the terms. He was fired within 48 hours. Over the next month, Maya tried everything. She played the victim online, claiming I abandoned her while pregnant. Her comment section turned against her once screenshots surfaced. She even begged my parents to talk to me. But my parents, especially my mother, stood firmly on my side. "You didn't just cheat," my mom told her once when Maya showed up at their door. "You planned to use our son to raise a child that wasn't his. That's cruelty, not confusion." Maya moved in with Martin for a while. 3 months later, I heard through a mutual friend that Martin left her. Apparently, he'd started cheating on her with someone younger. The cycle continued. As for me, I kept quiet, dignified. No public revenge, no online shaming, just steady, silent rebuilding. I sold the old house and moved into a new city. Started fresh, clean slate. 6 months later, I met someone kind, honest, someone who knew about the scars I carried and never tried to minimize them. She asked me once, "Do you regret not yelling, not going nuclear?" I thought for a second and replied, "No, I didn't destroy her. I just showed the world who she really was, and that was enough." Epilogue. Quiet victories. Maya gave birth in the spring. I didn't attend. She named the baby without my last name. The world kept spinning. My career thrived. I found love again. And whenever people ask me why I'm so calm, so measured, I just smile and say, because sometimes silence is the loudest justice. Was this revenge perfectly justified? Or should the storm have raged harder? Drop your verdict below. I read every single one. Hit like if you crave justice and share this story with someone who needs its fire. Subscribe to Revenge Exposed because here betrayals don't sleep. They hunt their owners. Every shadow hides a reckoning. Every mask breaks. And every betrayal is answered. Stay sharp. Stay unbroken.